So I started listening to that End of the World podcast.
Okay.
It's quality stuff.
Oh yes. Oh good.
Yeah.
Oh good.
Yeah. I liked it a lot.
I did. I really enjoyed it. I couldn't get enough of that.
Primarily Critical.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Primarily Critical at Movies and After Party. This would be it.
If you have not seen this film, we suggest that you do so before listening any further.
Because we've got spoilers, trivia, and opinions like crazy, and we cannot wait to share them.
Good, bad, new, old, weird, or gross. We
will pass judgment on them all.
Today, the fine art of bearing a cross. My name is Steve. I'm here with
Phil,
John.
Today we're covering Pieces of a Woman, and I don't mean to say bearing a cross is in. It's not. I don't say that mockingly. John, this was your pick.
Yeah. Well, like I was saying at the end of the last episode, is that this was one that because I've been into Sheila Buff's work lately, I've been trying to see what stuff I've been liking, what he's been doing so far.
Yeah.
And so my wife Lori brought this to my attention, and I watched the trailer and it looked good. Sadly, I didn't really care for this movie. I didn't. I mean, I thought it could have been done a lot better. Let me put it that way. So I'll start opening discussion with that. What do you guys think?
This was heavy, man.
Yeah.
oh, so heavy.
This was heavy. The first thing I wrote down was this is a little too real, but then I wrote maybe that's the point.
Yeah. It's a very depressing movie. Like very depressing.
Yeah, it is a downer. Well, hey man, like these things happen in life, right? People lose babies in that manner, and this movie's kind of like really depicting life for a woman and all the things that surround it. And so I kind of knew going into this movie what I was getting into a little bit. I knew there was a death of a baby, and I was preparing myself for an emotional gut punch.
Oh, you knew that the baby was going to die.
Yeah, I did, because they kind of allude to it, or they say it in the description of the movie.
I never read a description.
No?
I actually never even watched the trailer.
Okay, well then I guess I had a little bit of a buffer to get into it, but
well, I knew that's what we were in for, and I knew this wasn't going to be this was going to be one of those watches that was going to be heavy, right? It wasn't it's a serious movie. I knew that, right? And I, you know me, I don't shy away from that at all. I like that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
But they went over 2 hours on this movie, and I felt things were dragged out a lot. I felt you could have condensed it. You could have, and really, I guess if I like, I really liked the idea of the movie. I thought it's good. It's something that should be covered. I think it's a worthy topic to make a movie about.
Absolutely.
But I felt like her journey was kind of like that's the crux of this movie is about her journey, what she's going through, right?
Yeah.
And we kind of are left as the audience with this. She's kind of in a almost a catatonic sort of state. Like she's just not really emoting. She's not really, and I know that's probably part of it. But I would find a more effective way in a movie like this is that the viewer somehow gets some insight into her internal struggles, whether that one way or another, whether it's she's visiting a psychiatrist talking about or something, something to feed us to carry the audience along with her journey and her struggle, which I didn't feel like that was really done here. I felt like it was this kind of, we knew she was struggling, but it was all left up to this kind of, what we would imagine she would be going through, but not really laid out for us in a way that could connect us and be powerful. I think they missed out on some powerful opportunities that they could have capitalized on that they didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a hard time reviewing this movie because I'm not a father. I really don't know what it would be like to lose a child in this manner. So it's difficult for me to comment and pass judgment on this movie, Steve. Not to quote you, but
Well,
you know what
yeah.
I mean? It's like
it's
who
one-
might say how a woman should react after going forward, but
Oh, I was
certainly not trying
thinking
to-
about that. I wrote that down. I really think this movie needs 3 dudes talking about it.
oh well, yeah, I thought that too, right? But at the same time, it's a good thing to talk about it. It's a good important movie, I think.
Yeah,
But
look, I'm not at all going to judge her struggle at all and
No.
how she dealt with it. That's not what I just wanted to know as a viewer. I wanted to have a better window into her struggle.
Into her, or yeah,
because I don't understand. I mean, I really don't understand that. I mean, I certainly can sympathize. I can only imagine how painful it would be for my, like, I wouldn't have a clue. This was growing inside her. I don't as a male, I probably will never really conceive the idea or conceptualize the idea of what that would mean to lose that, and go through that. So I really am not going to pass judgment on that, but that's part of the reason why I really wanted to know more about it, and I was hoping I would maybe learn something here more than I did about that struggle. I didn't really learn a lot about the struggle she was very silent, which I know obviously is a normal reaction. Not going to judge her for that, but it is a movie, and I was hoping that there, in a way, like I said, whether we're privy to a confidential conversation between her and a psychiatrist or a real close friend or her mother. Well, her mother in this movie, that wouldn't be a good one, but something, something that would have clued us in to help us understand that struggle. And I felt we didn't get that payoff.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, the construction of the movie from a technical point of view, it felt long. The movie felt long, and maybe it could have been more insightful into her process, but maybe that's how they wanted it to go to the very end. She plays against type, and she forgives basically the midwife, and moves on with her life, and it has a happy ending of sorts.
Yeah, I mean, it's like my wife said, is that she needed to hit that moment when she saw the picture. It reminded her that my baby did live. My baby was alive.
Yeah.
And that was the thing. She was so caught up in the loss that she forgot there was actually a moment where this baby did exist and was a human being, and that was the powerful thing she needed to remember and hang on to that life that was there,
Absolutely. Yeah. How do you guys think about the whole midwife at home birth situation? It seems kind of crazy because that's kind of shit that can happen.
I mean, it is a risk.
Huge risk.
Well, I don't know about huge. I think that, obviously you see a movie like this, it looks terrifying, right? But
this is
I think for the most part, this stuff happens fairly frequently. A lot of people are doing home births, and generally, I think they go well. It's just if something goes sideways, that's the risk you're taking. Is that if it goes sideways, you're going to have a delay before you have medical help there, which could, in a bad situation, could be the difference of life and death. And
but why put yourself in that position, right?
Well, that's true.
At the end of the movie, they talk about it in the trial, and it's like that one lawyer, I guess the defense lawyer, he makes a good point. He's like, why would you risk it? You could have a team of people to help stand by. Anyways.
Well, honestly, me and Sherry had a birthing plan, and it was very, very mild compared to some of the birthing plans I had heard from a shit ton of other parents. A lot of them had tall orders with music and I want this music playing. I want this. I want these people in the room. I want blah blah blah. We had one rule. We're going to try and use as few drugs as possible, but nothing's off the table.
You went to the hospital,
and we went to hospital. Yeah.
Yeah.
This was at the Women's Center. but we went to Lamaze classes, and we met with we had constant appointments with an OBGYN, and we were constantly meeting other parents and stuff, and some of the ideas and specifics that I heard in their birthing plan were just crazy.
Well, yeah, and there's people out there like I've heard some of this stuff too, and there's people that actually there's a school of thought that that the moment of birth can be affect a human being in profound ways that we don't understand, and so there's people that believe that just one of the reasons they do the water births, people will do a birth into a warm water, is because the shock of going from the warm environment to the cold environment is like people believe this it creates a, I can't remember the whole reasoning behind it, but they feel it's traumatic almost. It's a traumatic thing that you're putting a baby through that isn't not necessary, and if you can ease them from that trauma, they'll have a better life, you know. And there's people that actually believe this stuff, and then you got everything in between where they think, well, you know, if you have surrounded by love and an comfortable environment, which you're like your home, you're bringing this baby into an environment that they're going to feel the energy of the love, and not a sterile like a hospital where you feel that there's, you know, could be people dying a ward over, you know, and that's bad energy, you know. So there's people that are into energy and stuff like that really, you know, and I mean, that's their beliefs, right? So you can see why, if you think that way, that why this might be popular. But I just want to make one more point before, and I'll shut up for a little bit. But I was going to say is that something you remind me of there, Steve, is that these birthing centers, I don't know what time period this movie took place in, but they've come a long ways now from where, you know, back in the 70s and 80s, it was just a hospital room, where now they've actually made them into a much more relaxing environment that you can go to, right? It's not so sterile and not so hospital-like. So, you know, maybe that's the best of both worlds, that they're kind of, hopefully that continues. So anyways, you guys have stuff to say, so.
Well, here's my big point, and this is kind of like, did you think the midwife was responsible?
Absolutely not.
I didn't think so.
There wasn't a moment I thought she was responsible.
So here's the heavy thing. It's like everybody around her was like pressuring her to like get some kind of justice or revenge, and I agree. It was a powerful moment at the end of the movie in the courtroom. It's like she stood up and asked the judge for a chance to just talk after seeing that photo. It's like saying, I don't want my daughter that lived for a minute. It was like sad, right? To be a reason why someone's life is like
destroyed.
Because what do you gain from that? And she accepted the fact that shit happens and life is not fair, I guess, and it was an accident or unfortunate. Small percentage thing, like you said, John. Like this is just a sad, terrible event, and
we're coming from a bit of a different place. And Canada is a lot less litigated.
This is America.
I mean, it's really hard for anybody to sue a medical professional in Canada, and in the States, it's a bit
because who would ever
easier.
want that job? Like being a midwife, like wow, you would be ruined. Like in your life, like you're going to prison. That's wow. I mean, why would you?
I thought prison time was the fact that was on the table. That actually kind of ticked me off. Like I thought, you got to be kidding me. Like, you know, this is obviously this woman did everything she thought she, you know, and she seemed competent. She seemed like she was doing what you know, she'd done this before, and so I was that bothered me. I thought that's ridiculous. The fact that whole angle was actually done. I mean, I think it's realistic. I think that is like you're saying, Steve. I think that's how a lot of issues get solved in the States, is through litigation. I mean, that's how
you.
But I think it's sad, you know.
It is sad. It is, but maybe sometimes it's justified because there's no means other than to sue someone. But this was not about suing her. This was about like putting her in jail, like prison. So,
Well, I mean, there was two different kinds. There's like, I think the chances of them convicting her of a criminal offense, which is
okay.
beyond a reasonable doubt, is very unlikely. But I mean, but civil suits, man, they could have just destroyed her.
Yeah.
50% burden of proof or something like that.
It makes you wonder why people don't videotape the whole thing so that there's no issue at all. You have evidence. Like you're like, okay, I have angles of this now. We have audio.
Yeah.
If I was a midwife, is there a mid man or mid husband?
Mid husband. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure.
Body cam on, everything's recorded, everything's legit.
I think as a mid husband, you would have to have that, even in Canada.
Well, they wouldn't want you recording that stuff. You're gonna see all kinds of stuff.
Well, yeah, that's true. I think a mid husband's just a bad career choice. It's just a very poor career choice.
Yeah, you're gonna be only appealing to a very niche crowd.
You probably you wouldn't get much work.
No. I mean, I run into problems being a male massage therapist.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't surprise me. I mean,
Yeah, there are people
that we just
there are people that actively avoid me.
Yeah.
Wow. So, man, did you Shia? I thought everybody in this movie was great acting. I thought was good.
I thought the acting was great. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, here's a big. I made notes. And do you think Shia's character was it Steve?
No. It was
What's the name of the character? Oh
Cole?
man.
No. Sorry.
No, that's
Sorry. Look at the wrong
Get our
one.
notes.
Sean.
Sean. Oh man.
Sean.
Do you think at the end when the mother, by the way, who is very old compared to the daughter, we'll talk about that after. Do you think that he took the money, the check, and he ran?
I was wondering this, and I don't know. I was going to ask you guys the same thing.
They didn't resolve this, right?
That also bothered me. That was another thing that bothered me about the movie, is I thought with all the time you spent, you couldn't even give us that to tell us whether or not he cashed that check.
And I thought, hey man, he hung in there.
Totally cashed the check.
Oh,
but we don't know for certain. I mean, I assumed he did, but
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So
I don't have a doubt in my mind.
I think so
Cashed
too.
the check, and he walked. He left. He was gone.
You know why, Steve?
Went to Seattle.
You know why? Because he didn't show up for the courtroom case. You think he would have showed up for the trial? He was told to take off and never come back, and he did.
Yeah.
And he probably took the money. How much money do you think it would cost for you to leave your partner's
my life?
spouse's life?
Oh, a nickel will do.
Because
Just kidding.
wow, we're actually having a
Just kidding. That was awful.
Well, yeah. I mean, I would need a house in the Bahamas. No.
wow.
It would be too much. It'd be too much. I mean, they want to.
They weren't a great couple, were they? They didn't hold together at all.
No, they were falling apart. Falling apart, and he saw. He wasn't abandoning her with a child, as awful as that sounds.
Yeah, but
he was ending the relationship, and he was.
He took the money and ran, but
he took the money and ran. He might have ended the relationship anyway. We don't know. I don't know. I mean, he was having an affair with a family member.
Remember? Yeah.
Yeah.
The cousin of, yep.
I don't know that could have possibly ended any better for him.
Okay.
No, for everyone really. That relationship was doomed. I felt like he was on Mars, she was on Venus, whatever.
Oh well. I once again, how do you know what it's like when you're not in their shoes? And that's like, I can't even imagine. But
most couples don't survive the death of a child.
Oh, yeah,
That's just a statistic. And so if it's most likely going to be, you might as well take the money. I mean, you can't really fault him for that because his life was shit. It was falling apart. I mean, he has a chance now to rebuild, go to a new place, probably best for her.
Yeah.
I don't think him sticking around is going to do her any favors at that point.
do you think she knew that he was cheating on her? I think so.
No.
I think
she found that earring, so I think she did. Yeah.
She probably had her suspicion.
Shit.
Yeah.
And then after finding that earring, she makes a point to going out to a club that night. So to me, that was her thing. Like, well, yeah, you're out cheating. Well, fuck you. I'm going to go out. And then she kisses that black guy, and then she decides to not go home with him. But
they tried to, but it's really sad. It's a really sad, like you said, John, most relationships, I couldn't imagine surviving after something so traumatically awful. And but how did you like the mother, Martha's mother? Right, she's old, and by the end of the movie, she's like showing signs of like losing her memory.
Yes.
So what, like, she was like what 50 when she had her or something? Because
it's possible. I mean,
I don't know. She looked
like Martha looks amazing, but she could have been up there.
Yeah.
She had like this eternal look.
Yeah,
she could have been like 35. So let's just say she's
35, maybe 40.
But hey, you know what?
Yeah.
It was a great performance by the actress Ellen Burstyn. Ellen. And we're talking about the mother's actress.
Yes. Is that Elizabeth? It's got to be, because people don't want to name their kids Elizabeth unless they're really old.
So that whole scene where the camera, they're talking about the white stripes and they're doing Thanksgiving dinner, I think. And she gets this monologue and she gets to go off about how she was born and the whole the doctor holding her up as a baby.
Yeah.
If you don't raise your head, you're not gonna make it. Holy shit!
Yeah.
That was
that was one that's, I like that scene. I thought that was and I thought that's one of the few glimpses we get of her, the Martha there showing emotion.
Yes,
she had that outburst, and so that was like I was hoping for more stuff like that, like just to get more of a glimpse of her struggle, right? And that was,
they left a lot of the movie storytelling up to us.
Yes,
trying to figure out what she's
not
thinking.
A lot happened up there on my own,
So, no, you got to spoon feed me that shit.
Yeah, that's right.
But I thought that was an awesome scene, and I guess, did that have an impact on Martha? I guess, because she womaned up at the end of the movie and took responsibility of what she really felt about how things went down, right?
Yeah, I did. And here's the thing too. While she's making her statement in front of the court there, they show her mother now sitting in the courtroom, and I couldn't tell. My take was that the mother was looking at her with approval.
I think so. I think so.
Right, which was kind of counter to what she had been saying previously, like, you got to fight and don't let this woman get away with it. But she
reversed that, and she made her mother understand this is the right thing to do, and this is my decision. This is my life. Everybody was trying to tell her what to do, and she's like, I just chose to forgive her, and she's not responsible. It's just
it's almost like the mother was testing them. Constantly testing them. The mother hands a check to the boyfriend. She says, here's a check, go away, never come back. He takes the check and he goes away and never comes back. He failed his test, right? And then she's charging the midwife through the court systems, paying lawyers, doing all kinds of stuff. And she's handing her daughter what she needs or what she thinks she needs, and she rebels. Yeah, she goes against the lawsuit, and she passed the test. So this mother is in it, giving and taking.
Yeah. So you think the mother's working in mysterious ways that maybe aren't as obvious as she seems.
Yeah, well, until she loses her mind at the very end.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, but that's what makes it at the end of the movie. It's like they all kind of like is they bonded over this. I think, right? The whole
Yeah.
trial thing was a bonding moment for the family,
Yeah.
the core family.
The very end,
Lucy.
the very end of the movie, I was not too thrilled with because that apple tree looked about at least 30 years old. And so I think they were trying to imply that she had planted that
I
apple
think so.
tree and now it's grown to this big and it has all these apples and she's had her daughter. She has a daughter now.
For the purposes of the movie, it seemed like a great ending, like a happy ending to a really depressing movie.
Yeah,
I'll take it after 2 hours.
sure.
I felt like that was it's a very hard movie to watch,
Yeah.
and then you kind of get life goes on, and she did get a daughter. She got a beautiful apple tree.
But it's
She loved
it was
apples.
not. I felt like it was nice, but it wasn't enough. I mean, literally, the credits are rolling while this happens. I mean, this is, I would have liked a little bit of something more about her future down the road, just a little bit, something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Which we couldn't even see what she looked like. They didn't even actually allow us to see her. So trying to judge how many years had gone by, that wasn't really part of it. We don't know if she's married. We don't know.
Well, by her own math, we think she was 35 in the movie.
Oh, we're just speculating.
And the daughter looks like 6 or 7. I don't know.
Yeah.
We get a good look at the daughter, and we know her name is Luciana. Lucy, and then Louisiana. But then the camera puts the tree branches in between the scene when the mother comes up, and we have no idea whether Luciana is her daughter, or granddaughter, maybe, who knows.
Yeah.
And like throughout the whole movie, they were very careful to point out the times. So September, October, November, December.
It took over the course of like half a year with this movie or so.
Between September and April, I wrote it down. But
You're right. They were very specific about timing this whole movie until this big leap of time at the end.
Did you guys notice like certain things throughout the whole movie they kept showing the bridge being built?
Yes.
And Martha's love for apples was constant. There's all these themes going through the movie.
Well, she made the apple thing. She said it reminded the smell of her baby smelled like an apple, is what she said, right? And so, and I don't know. You could take you could read something into the fact that planting a seed and bringing forth life is,
totally.
I mean,
she's coming back to life.
Yeah.
She's planted the seeds of renewal.
I guess. It was very abstract. It was a little raw and underdeveloped, but in my humble male opinion. But there's a moment when Shia LaBeouf, character Sean, is waxing philosophic about the resonance of the bridge that he was working on. The bridge was perfect. There's nothing wrong with it, but for some reason, the resonance of the bridge molecules and the resonance of all the traffic going across it matched up just so, and the bridge was falling apart. So I don't know. Was that a metaphor?
Yeah, that's his way of trying to explain things. Like sometimes you can't have answers. Like I think what they're trying to say maybe in that moment is like shit happens, nobody has answers for it, but they come up with theories. Like I think the baby died of what they say SIDS, right? At the end of the movie, the lawyer says this is just
infant.
Death syndrome.
And I mean, awful hard movie to review, man. It's very hard. tackle this one.
All right, moving on. We got about 6.5 minutes. Let's try and get through this trivia and say farewell to Pieces of a Woman.
Okay.
The opening 30-minute birth scene took 2 days and 6 takes to shoot.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was a long scene. That was
It was a long scene.
that kind of set the pace for this movie. I was like, oh boy, this is gonna be a long movie because that was
Yeah.
they really drew that one out. But
Did you? Yeah. That was intense. It was like a one camera shot, right? The one kind of method, right? So I could see that. That's why it took so long to choreograph it, probably, and just
Yeah.
wow.
yeah.
That would have
All
been.
right, we got to
intense.
keep moving here.
Go ahead, John.
Vanessa Kirby and Sheila Buff also worked together in The Necessary Death of Charlie Countryman in 2013. Not familiar with this movie.
The trivia in this movie, the pickings were slim, but I made sure to include this so that John knew about another Sheila Buff movie.
Another Sheila Buff. Yeah, well, I'm gonna definitely watch the trailer and see if it's. Yeah, I might be off my Sheila Buff kick now. This movie kind of, toned it down a bit. But.
Yeah.
Well, apparently, with his issues, he's been accused of not sexual abuse with a former
Domestic abuse, I believe it was.
domestic abuse. Sorry, I don't want to correct categorize it, but apparently he's not acting right now, so there might not be any productions from or further go. Who knows?
Well,
Hope he gets-
we'll see how it goes.
Well, hope he
goes.
gets his shit together. I'll take next trivia.
Sure.
As Vanessa Kirby has never given birth in real life, she watched numerous documentaries and videos and shadowed midwives in a hospital in North London, and even was allowed to be in a room with a woman who was giving birth. Wow.
Snap.
Wow.
Holy
Talk about
homework.
hey John, talk about your aura or whatever you're
Yeah, the energy.
having this woman. I'm just here to learn or
Watch, yeah.
prepare for a role.
That's good energy.
Well, she
Good,
probably
that's
had
good.
money. She had probably had money in hand, saying, "Here, let me do my homework with you."
Let me pay you off your medical bills.
All right, the last point of trivia, based on the experiences of great screenwriter Kata Weber and her partner, director Cornel Mundruczó, who lost their child during Weber's pregnancy. Their inability to cope with the loss prompted her to temporarily move to Berlin on her own, where she wrote the screenplay. She later explained, "I had to leave to express myself, far away from my daughter and far away from Cornell. I felt like my body was taken away from me because so many people in my circle were giving their opinion about the miscarriage. My body no longer belonged to me. I had to give it back in writing," which was sort of a therapy for her.
Okay.
I can only imagine what she had to go through.
Yeah.
I think the movie did what they wanted it to do. It was definitely not for me, but I'm a dude, and perhaps I'm deficient in that way.
That's right. There's probably better people out there that will do a better review, just based on gender and life experience.
Based on gender and life, exactly. We have our own burdens to bear.
Yeah, it's a difficult movie to review from a male point of view or a non-father point of view. So, tough one.
Next week, Monday at noon, we're covering Fisherman's Friends, and that is Phil's pick. How's it going, man?
Yeah.
Without spoilers and under 2 minutes. Explain why you picked it.
Well, this is a movie based on a true story, and there's a whole currently, and who knows if this trend will end by the time you see the review, of sea shanties and the like. So a fun movie.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Hey, a movie that's not deep and dark and depressing for once, right?
Yes.
Amen. I can't wait to talk about it. See you all next Monday at noon. Peace out.
Bye-bye.
crowd.